The morning sun cast its golden rays over the quiet countryside as Maria walked along the forest path she had known since childhood. Birds chirped overhead, and the soft rustling of leaves filled the air. She clutched her bag tightly, her mind preoccupied with errands in the district center. Little did she know, this serene walk would soon transform into a harrowing fight for survival. As Maria approached a clearing, she sensed movement in the corner of her eye. From the dense underbrush emerged a disheveled man, his darting eyes scanning the surroundings. Before Maria could process what was happening, the man stepped directly into her path, blocking her way. A flash of light caught her attention. It was the blade of a knife, glinting in the sunlight. "Hand over the bag," he barked, his voice cold and menacing. Maria's heart pounded in her chest. She took a step back, clutching her bag as fear and confusion gripped her. "Please, I don't have much." "Shut up and give it to me," he snarled, lunging toward her. In a blur, he grabbed Maria by the arm and threw her to the ground. Dirt and leaves clung to her clothes as she hit the earth, and pain shot through her arm where his grip had been. But Maria wasn't ready to surrender. She kicked and twisted, crying out for help with all the strength she could muster. The man's patience wore thin. "No one can hear you," he hissed, raising the knife. Maria's cries faltered, but she refused to stop struggling. Her hands clawed at the ground, searching for anything to use as a weapon. Just as despair began to creep in, a sharp crack echoed through the forest, followed by the sound of something heavy approaching. The man froze, his head snapping toward the sound. The tension in the air thickened as the noise grew louder. Hoofbeats, deliberate and powerful, pounding against the forest floor. Before either could react, a massive deer burst into the clearing. Its antlers, large and imposing, gleamed in the sunlight like a crown. The creature charged with an intensity that left no time for thought. The man turned to flee, but it was too late. The deer rammed him with its powerful antlers, sending him sprawling to the ground. The knife flew from his hand, landing several feet away. The man groaned, clutching his ribs as he lay immobilized. Maria, still on the ground, stared in disbelief. Her savior, a deer of all creatures, stood protectively between her and the attacker. Its chest rose and fell with each breath, and its large brown eyes, filled with intelligence and something almost like recognition, locked onto hers. Tears welled up in Maria's eyes as she took in the deer's majestic form. Then her gaze fell to its left leg, where a faint scar ran down the length of its limb. Her breath caught in her throat. Could it be? Years ago, as a young girl, Maria had stumbled upon a fawn trapped in a ditch during one of her forest walks. Its leg was broken, and its pitiful cries had echoed through the trees. Maria had acted on instinct, rushing to a local veterinarian for help. Together they had tended to the fawn, nursing it back to health before releasing it back into the wild. Now, staring at the scar on the deer's leg, Maria knew this was the same creature. "It's you," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. The deer held her gaze for a moment longer before turning its attention back to the man. He had begun to crawl away, but the deer took a single step forward, halting his escape. Maria scrambled to her feet, retrieving her phone from her bag with shaking hands. She dialed the police, her voice steadying as she explained the situation. "I was attacked in the forest," she said, glancing at the deer. "But I was saved by a deer." The operator hesitated for a moment before responding. "Stay where you are. Help is on the way." Minutes later, the sound of sirens pierced the forest's stillness. 2 officers arrived, their eyes widening at the sight before them. One quickly secured the attacker, while the other approached Maria. "Are you okay?" he asked, his tone filled with concern. Maria nodded, pointing toward the deer. "That deer saved me. It's the reason I'm alive." The officers exchanged bewildered glances but said nothing. As they escorted the attacker away, the deer began to retreat, its job seemingly done. Maria watched as it disappeared into the trees, her heart heavy with gratitude and awe. Maria sat by her window, replaying the events in her mind. The deer's intervention had been nothing short of miraculous, but what struck her most was the realization that this was no random act. Years ago, she had saved its life. Now, in her darkest hour, the deer had returned the favor. Maria's story spread quickly through the village. People marveled at the bond between human and animal, forged through a single act of kindness. To Maria, the encounter was a reminder of the profound connections we share with the natural world, connections that transcend time and circumstance. Maria's experience serves as a testament to the enduring power of compassion. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, leaves an imprint that can ripple through time in ways we can't foresee. In a world that often feels divided, moments like these remind us of the unity and harmony we can find with the creatures who share our planet. In the end, Maria's life was forever changed, not just because she survived an attack, but because she was reminded that no kindness is ever forgotten.